All right, we're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's pop up with Summer and Jen.
Hey,
Hello.
everyone. Happy Monday or Monday
Hey,
night.
Jen. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Awesome. Oh my gosh, this is such a great Monday. This is Mindset Monday. Woo, woo, woo. So, today's question, and we'll pop in here every now and again. It might be once a week, it might be every other week, but we love to do these pop ups because we love to bring a new topic
Hmm.
up and talk about it. And this week's topic is, what is the narrative running through your head and how does this support you? Oh my gosh, mindset, right? So, what is narrative?
When I
So,
when I
yeah,
hear that word, I just think of there was somebody that I used to talk to a lot back a couple of years ago, and he would always say, "That's the conversation you're having in your head."
yeah,
And I
exactly.
mean, I laugh now. I wasn't laughing then, but because I would bring something up, and it's like that was my perspective, and
Yeah,
that wasn't necessarily the truth, even though that was the lens I was looking at things from.
yeah,
But it was just that's the conversation you're having in your head. And so this is a great question because sometimes we're not deciphering whether something that we're dealing with is the truth, or is it just that narrative, is it just that story. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. You brought up so many good things here, Jen. So, the narrative in traditional sense is your story, right? So it's, what's your story? What are you telling yourself? What's running through your head? What's your perspective? Is your story the one of overcoming challenges? Is it finding your purpose? Is it about how you truly learned about the values in your life and living those values, making your life more meaningful? What is that narrative? Hey, Cinda, nice to see you. So, what is it? So, is it, many times we could think, like you said, there's a certain narrative and running through our heads, but how others might see us, how we might see ourselves may not match up exactly, right? It
Yeah.
might be because of the day, it might be because of a circumstance, it might be because it could be self-deprecating where we're reprimanding or belittling ourselves. It could be a narrative that's keeping you stuck where you are in a current situation. Is it maybe that imposter syndrome narrative where you're feeling less than? My question is the narrative that is it perpetuated by fear? Is it perpetuated by the unknown? What is driving that narrative in your brain? What is driving that narrative for you? What is that narrative telling others and telling you every day? How are you living that narrative? And that's something really important, because if those words, phrases, ideas, thoughts continue to run through your head, guess what's going to happen?
You're
You're going to
eventually start believing it, maybe.
Absolutely. No, that's totally true. You're going to start believing it, and those are the words, phrases, and thoughts that are going to continue to come up in your brain, because that's something I love to call brain mapping.
Yeah.
So, you're creating brain maps in your brain that create the narrative that you're living. So, our question today is the narrative in your head supporting you? What are your thoughts, Jen?
This reminds me of a situation that I was helping a friend through, and really it came down to it was with family. And unfortunately, it was causing this friend to feel depressed and
Mm,
literally having to seek out help, mental
yeah.
health. And I said, you do have to understand that you're being gaslighted.
Mm,
And that's a form of how those narratives happen and how they form. And I think this is what's so important, is for us to stop and ask ourselves, like, well, where did it come from? Why are you thinking that? Where is the influence from your upbringing? What are you modeling? And all those things we've talked about before, where it's very important for us to analyze, where does that story come from? We talk about money stories, we talk about modeling, we talk about all these things, but where the second part of this question about, how is that serving you? That's the part that can be dangerous, because if you don't take a look about, what's happening here, it can hold you back, or it can help you keep moving forward. But if you're hanging on to it and starting to believe that whatever is being said is true, and if it's in the case that it's not, that's going to hold you back, and that's going to affect you in so many ways. So it's really important for us to analyze and make sure, like, wait a minute, is this even true? No, it's not. These people are saying these things to me. I don't have to choose that as the truth. I don't have to, subscribe to that or believe that. And, when it starts getting to the point where it's, you're depressing, like you say, and
Mm-hmm.
other things where it's affecting you negatively, and it's affecting your, your work performance. It's affecting the way you interact in other relationships with your kids, your spouse, your partner. That's where it's not serving you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really sad when, it's we're falsely believing things and not realizing how it's negatively affecting us.
Oh my gosh. Okay, just in that one example, you mentioned so many things that I could touch on right now. And I want to bring these up, these things that you touched on. But first I want to address Sevda here too. She says, hi. Right now I never make it because of the bias. Like, and I'm not sure, maybe clarify that for us, because I'd love to know more about that, Sevda. And so she's taking a few days to step back. And I love that, Sevda, because it's going to go into what I'm going to address right here. So because of that example that you just cited, you first talked about a situation where somebody was being impacted or gaslighted, right? And so that was impacting their mental health. And yes, the words, the phrases, and going back to this, the words, the phrases, the the things, the narrative that we have running through our head can definitely impact both our physical and our mental health. The words that we use can either help regulate our physical and mental health, or they can just throw it out of whack.
Yeah.
So that's something that we really need. It's not just what's happening in the exterior world, but when we do in our social settings begin to believe what is being told to us, those are the things that are going to get in our psyche. Those are the things that are going to get into our subconscious, right? And so you also mentioned that person seeking help. And that's really important. So if you find that you are so overwhelmed, or you're feeling like, wow, that narrative is on a repetitive cycle, it's on a loop, and you can't stop that loop, then
Yeah.
that might be time to ask for help or seek some help. So, and you can break that cycle. That loop can be broken. So I think that's really, important to remember, that you can break these cycles, and that words, phrases, and, your thoughts can really impact how you regulate stress in both your physical and mental health, right? So I wanted to mention those things because just based on that one example, that had a lot to do with what we're talking about today. And I think these things are really important to remember, that if we're in a social situation that is creating chaos in our lives, that is impacting our mental health, we sometimes might start what I like to call catastrophizing, making
Mm,
it our whole world. Oh my gosh, this is everything I am. This is everything I do. This is, and that to a certain degree could be true. But here's the thing, and here's a tip. Jen and I have talked about this before. When you can start separating what is actually happening from your emotions and not mix the two. And I'm not saying that emotions aren't important, but this will help give you some objectivity and clarification about the actual situation that is in fact occurring, rather than saying, my whole life is out of control and spinning, right? This is my everything. Because maybe that person who is inflicting or causing chaos in your life isn't your whole world.
mm,
Maybe that isn't your whole world, but right now it feels like it. So when you are able to separate the facts from the fiction, the facts from the lies that might be in your mind that you're telling yourself, like, oh my gosh, my whole life is going to crumble if I'm going to separate from this person, or my whole life is going to go to crap, right? It's like, that's not necessarily the case. What do you have going for you that you had before this person ever entered your life? What are your super skills? What are the choices that you're going to decide to make? What is the narrative that you're going to let loop in your head? Are you going to remain there? Are you going to take some steps to get out of that situation? Thoughts, Jen?
This totally just made me think of codependency.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole nother show we will do.
Yes.
But it's saddening to hear when we are placing all our value and our self-worth on the words and thoughts of somebody else. Oh. We're allowing that environment and an external factor determine our worth. Yeah. And so when you gave the example of the catastrophizing, did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I call it being extra, but I give you like the real word, and Summer gives you the clinical term. Yeah, when you're being extra and catastrophizing, you know, I get it. I've seen people do it, and it's just like, take a step back. And it's really sad though when I see that happening, especially the words that they're saying and when they're verbalizing this narrative, and I'm just like, wow, they have become so far separated from the reality of things, of what's happening, or they are now so affected by what other people have said that now they aren't even steering where their path is. They're not even determining their own value and their self-worth. It's now falling on the hands and the words and everything that's on this other person. So, you know, it just made me think of codependency and how that can be also dangerous.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to read here what Sevda says. So she's taking a few steps back. You know, I think what she was saying is that she's right now makes it because of the bias, right? The bias of being an ex-sex worker. So Sevda was an ex-sex worker. And so the narrative that she tells herself, and the narrative that she might get caught up in. So she says, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God. Yes. So right. Love you guys. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we're here for you. Throw up your questions. We love to hear from you. So I want to say that according to Andrew Newberg, who is an MD, and Mark Robert Waldman, they say words can literally change your brain. They can literally change your brain.
Yeah.
In their book, Words Can Change Your Brain, they write, a single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate your physical and emotional stress. Your genes.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's scary too.
That is really scary. But here's the thing. To me, I'm gonna look at this. That is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Now that you're equipped with the knowledge of knowing that words and phrases can change your brain and your gene expression. Here's the thing. Nothing can change your genes, but it can change your gene expression. So what you put into your body, what the words you say, the things that you do every day, like Jen, you exercise every day. At least try to exercise every day. Guess what that's doing? That's changing your gene expression. That's making your body feel good. It's making it want that exercise. It's making it thrive for that exercise and work better for you. So that changes your gene expression.
It's making my genes fit.
But that's it. Okay. All right. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. It's making your genes fit. That's a great example.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. That's a different gene. That's a homophone, by the way.
But you know what? But that equates. It equates because although that's GENE, right? Gene versus JEANS.
Yeah.
It's making them fit because it's changing that expression and the way your body's going to respond to what you're doing with it. So that's the expression. So positive words such as happy, joy, all these different words that you could potentially use could change that gene expression. So what I would suggest, because I love giving tips here too, I would suggest, and Jen's really great at this, she likes to journal. And I love that you love to journal, Jen, because that's, we each find our our place and our healing place doing something, whether it's exercise, whether it's journaling, whether you've got a special place to go and think, right? Or maybe it's acting or singing or some kind of expression that helps lift your spirits, right? So what does, and I'm gonna put this out there to you, Jen, what does journaling help you with? And how do you do it? What would be some tips that you could give for people to do some journaling? Because I want to give tips right now about how we can change that narrative, that story.
Yeah. I think you have to determine if that's something you want to do. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes we hear a lot of tips, and you may find that, I mean, there's things I hear all the time that I'm like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. So when it came to journaling, I had to figure out a way to make this easy. I'm not somebody that likes to sit there and just write like paragraphs, like I'm writing a letter. I don't journal like that. It's almost like bullet point format,
Okay.
where it's just phrases, and a lot of it is just like what happened during the day, what am I grateful for, just really recording wins, and also at the end of it recording what I want to accomplish for the next day. And I'm going to put another plug for the Gap in the Game, because that's where it said to do that. So that book is amazing. So, I just had to make it easy, where it's not like I'm writing like a story. It was just more like, I am bulleting all the different events that took place during that day. So it's easy. And plus, for me, visually, it's easier for me to look at a bullet point checklist than to look through like lines and lines and paragraphs of like, wait, what did I write that day? So I think it's just important that you determine what style you like, and maybe you like that. Maybe that helps you think and flow. If there's a way that it's easier for you to let those thoughts out. And there's this thing about you slowing down and giving yourself that time. Like, it is amazing. You start to think creatively. Your brain is now going into a different state where you're relaxed, and that's where the creativity can come in. And you start to, I know for me, I start to think, oh yeah, I forgot about that idea. How many times have you thought of an idea, you didn't write it down, and you had it while you were in a subconscious state, like you were dreaming, or you don't remember, and then you're just like, oh, I can't remember what that was. It was like, and then if I ever go back to a meditative state or when I'm journaling, because I'm in a different state, my brain starts to think of those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to, we can't do them. We're trying to multitask, or we're in a conscious state, or, we're doing a billion things. So journaling is great. And I think, also try it just for a short period of time. There's people that can do it for an hour, and same thing with meditation. But I think give yourself the opportunity to even try it for like a minute or 5 minutes, and see if you can do that for 3 weeks. And then maybe you increase the time. And those are different things where you are developing those habits.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Journaling, as Jen said, might not be for everybody, but it is for some people. And I like the way that you created a way that journaling could be really helpful for you. So, for instance, you bulleted your stuff. So it
Yeah.
makes it easy to read. It makes it like just more fluid for you. Some people even use a journal to draw,
Yeah.
to doodle. It is that creative expression, right? And so I love what you said about creative expression. You get into a different mindset, a different zone. It's almost like you get into a trance of sorts, the creative trance, right?
Yeah.
And I do that in the shower.
Mm.
The shower is a great place for me to just relax. And then all of a sudden, these ideas start blooming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, oh my gosh. And what I do is I go after the shower, go to my phone, and I dictate a message, a real quick note about some of the things that came to me in the shower. Because
Mm-hmm.
seriously, I don't know why it's the shower. I think it's because it is a place for me to relax. It's a place where my phone's put down, my electronics are away, and that is just some relaxation time for me. So it allows my brain to be more creative, relaxed. So yeah, so that's kind of my game plan is when I'm in the shower or when I'm doing something that's really relaxing, then I note it very quickly. And I have that by my bed, on my sink, near wherever I am, so I can take those notes because I don't want to forget. And
Yeah.
then there might be meditation, right? Meditation, journaling, notes. And meditation for some people works. And for others, maybe you haven't tried it and you don't know if it works or not. Maybe you have tried it and maybe it's gone on for too long and you don't feel comfortable just being in that space of, I don't know, Zen.
It's too quiet, or I'm falling asleep. It takes some discipline, and you just get
It
used.
does.
Start off small, like 3 minutes. Like,
you know,
don't try to go in like the 30 minutes.
So, and I love that you said that, because there was a friend who would do 1 minute meditations, and I would take those meditations in the afternoon and do those 1 minute meditations because they worked for me. The time frame worked for me. It made me feel at ease and calm, and it got me recentered. 1 minute.
Yeah,
1 minute. That's all it took.
Yep.
And so just find something that really you're drawn to that works for you. So Sebda says, yes, I draw too. She does chanting as well. So, you know, this is why I love when people come on, because we can actually exchange ideas. And these ideas are so important and so valuable because something might resonate with you that I say, or that Jen says, or that Sebda says, or that somebody else says, because everything is not for everybody, right? So, and how we do things may not be the way that you do things. And that creative expression, let it flow. It's so important. You know, there's a person named Perry. If you don't know Perry, he's on LinkedIn. Noppert, I think is his last name. And connect with him because he's got the octopus movement going on, and they talk about creative expression and creativity. And I think that's so genius, because I think a lot of times we've forgotten about that in relation to our own stories, our own narratives, how we want to look, how we want that to look, how we live our purpose and passion. And so there's all these amazing people who have these different theories and these different methods for really tapping into your creativity, your purpose, your passions. And that's what we are doing today, is really talking about something that's going to help you really create a narrative that's going to support your mental and physical well-being.
Yes.
Jen, what are your thoughts? You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I love it. I think this is great. I think it's really, really important for us to find that thing that can allow us to get into our thoughts and to also just, focus on what's happening. And so, as we were talking about in the beginning, there are going to be those words or those things that affect you. And so it's so important for us to take that time and find that space so that you can really sit in quiet, or whatever that looks like for you. So you can ask yourself, like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Do I need to get help? And that's okay. What do I do to relax myself? And then just even asking yourself, like, the narrative, is this even true? Just those simple things. And again, it doesn't have to be for an hour. It can be 2 minutes, 1 minute, like Summer does. So but I just love it. I think these are great, simple, actionable steps that you can take in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us. Thank you, Sevda, out there. Thank you for those that will watch this later. If you have not caught our pop-ups or our lives or our YouTube videos, please go to our YouTube station, The Life, Love, and Money Show. So is it The Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen? Do you have it?
Oh, the YouTube?
I think we have,
The YouTube?
Yes.
Where is it? There. Yep. Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen.
Awesome. Go check us out. Go like our page. Please pass on our page. We try and really help support community in different ways by bringing up these topics, because Jen is an expert. I'm an expert in certain things, and together we just want to give value. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have an amazing Monday and start of your week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.